Hey guys, it's the Awkward Professor here again with another art tip. Today we're going to work on a little bit more advanced eye, something like what we have here compared to my other video. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating the basic shape of the eye. And again, in my other video, we said the basic shape of an eye is more like a football. We're just going to kind of create our shape here. And we want to make sure that we're paying attention to as much as we can with our shape. Now I'm going to put my tear duct in here, and my tear duct is on this inside part of my eye. And then we're going to work from here. I'm going to have my top part here. My tear duct, I have this little piece that comes off here. And we're going to bring that back a little bit. Over here, we're going to create our bottom eyelid. And we're a little bit off here. And we're going to come in. Just going to come across till we get to that tear duct. So we kind of create this ledge here. Next, I'm going to work on my upper eyelid, and my upper eyelid is more going to be based off of this line that is above our eye here. And we're going to add some value to that in a little bit to kind of make that more apparent. And last thing we got to do now is just add our iris in here. And I'm just going to kind of space this out a little bit. About where I think it is. And I'm going to come in and kind of round that off. Create a nice rounded look. Again, when you're drawing, just know that you as the artist, you're the one who sees the imperfections, not so much anybody else. So here we go. We got my basic eye here. And what I'm going to do is then gradually I'm going to add details. I'm going to add my pupil to start with. And I want my pupil to be in here. And that's your black part of the eye, or the center of your eye. And then we're also going to have a highlight. And in this one, I'm going to kind of create a highlight. And then we're going to have an additional highlight just off to the side. And sometimes with these highlights, we have a little bit of a rounded edge. Remember, your eye is round, so that curved line that we see in there will help create the illusion that your drawing is also round. Okay, now we're going to go in and we're going to add little details into our iris here. And I'm just going to start by creating some simple lines here. And almost like a spider effect or a sun ray effect. I'm just creating some different variations in that middle area. And we're also going to create some variations coming from this other side. Now I'm using a light pencil right now. I'll come in a little bit and create a little bit more dark values. Okay, there's my basic start there. Now I'm going to get my blending tool. I'm going to come in. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to blend a little bit. I want to create a little bit darker value in here without going too crazy at first. And remember, when you're creating something and you're using pencil or you're using value, remember the biggest thing is that you are going to create layers of value. Too many young artists expect to create an image and have it just perfect right away. It takes time and it takes layers. It's like when you paint something, you have to put layers and layers of paint on there. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to rework some of this. And sometimes I like to use those line areas that my blending tool created. And we're just slowly adding this texture in here. I'll start to work a little bit faster here for you guys. Also trying to keep my hand out of the way so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So again, I'm going to get my blending tool, come in, blend out a little bit of that stuff here. And sometimes these values are just created and you got to go with what you see. I want to come in with a little bit darker pencil here. And we're just going to darken in some of this. So creating a little bit darker value along my outside of my eye here. Right around that middle a little bit. And I'm going to come back with my other pencil. Let's start to create a little bit more of a line effect in here. I'm darkening my pupil a little bit, and that's just to help me see what my contrast is going to be like once I get that dark value in there. Allow me to go back in and touch up my iris some. The goal here is to try and create an image that's going to look as realistic as possible. I'm also going to rework my outside line here. Make sure I get a nice, clean, crisp line. And again, you can go in and rework this over and over and over again until you get that look that you're really looking for. That's all we're doing here. Just going back in and retouching up my values till I feel I've come up with something that I want to stick with. And I'm going to redarken this line just a little over here. A little value. And for right now, I think we'll stop right around there. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to add a little bit of value with some of our areas. So along the bottom of this eyelid at the bottom, we're going to put a little value in here. We're just putting that value in so we can blend it a little bit. Got a little value in here on this tear duct. And then along this line here, I'm just going to add a little value. So when I use my blending tool, it really will help create some of that value. I really want to watch not going too dark some spots. So we're just going to kind of blend that out a little bit. And this blending tool is known as a paper tortillon. You get them at most of your art stores. Just a nice tool so you don't have to use your finger or a piece of Kleenex. And these tools are really nice because they have a point on them. And that allows you to go in and touch up some of these areas, kind of like if you had a pencil. So it's a little bit easier for you. And we're just gonna a little bit of value in here and there. I'm also gonna do this line up here a little bit. I'm just gonna blend that out some. You can also take something like a paintbrush or something. If I took a little piece of paper and I just added a little value on it, I could also take something like a paintbrush here, and then I would just have a really soft value that I could add in there. And that really helps with blending out areas that might need a little value but not too much. And we'll do that one more time. And so, for example, the area up here where our eyebrow might be, it's a great way to add some value without making too much texture marks. And if I wanted some more value in anywhere else, I'd just go in and I'd be able to make that. Now, one thing I did not add, which needs to be in here, is there's a shadow right under this upper eyelid. And that allows us to see what should be there. It's a little bit more natural of a look. If you pay attention when you look at things, you'll see shadows. And we're just going to add a little bit of value on these eyelids. And I think that's about it right there. Now we're going to go in, we're going to add some eyelashes. And eyelashes can be in many different shapes or directions. Usually want to start with a little bit lighter pencil here, and as we get going, make some of these darker ones. I go back to my dark pencil and It'll help create a little bit of contrast, value change. Okay, and now we're going to go in and we're going to do our upper eyelids. Now the other thing with starting with a light pencil is you kind of can get your bearings and kind of know where you're going to create some of these eyelashes. Now eyelashes can be difficult, especially for new artists. They do have a little bit of a curve on them, and most young artists really struggle with that. Older artists tend to figure it out fairly quickly, but if you're struggling, it has a little bit of a swoop. Go back in and I can just really add as many as I'd like. Touch them up. Need to, I come back in with my light one. You know, something a little bit like that. Now our highlight on our eyes, depending on your highlight, normally you can see a little bit of the eye behind it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of something in there with my blending tool. I could also, if I really wanted to, take my pencil and add a little bit of value on the white of the eye, especially towards the two corners. Or you can leave it white. It all depends on how you're feeling that day. Okay, now I'll go back in and I'm going to touch up some of these areas. Really nice lines. Sometimes just some dark lines help make a nice contrast. For example, along these eyelids is a great spot for some of those dark lines. This tear duct could have a little bit more of just reshaping that eye. And that's basically it for the main part of your eye. Now the next thing we're going to do is just basically go in and we're going to add eyelashes. And all we're going to do, I kind of created this value up here, and I'll go back in and darken it really quick. Give it a little bit more value. And then from there, I'm just going to go back in and start by creating a couple of little lines here. And another mistake that a lot of young artists do is they will just fill in these areas instead of creating individual little hairs. And I really focus on making sure the young artists I work with think about details and not just about trying to get something done quickly. So the more time you spend on it, typically the nicer your project will be. Go back in, add some of these dark lines in here. And for the most part, that's it. So there you go. Another quick art tip by the Awkward Professor. Good luck with your drawing.